Continuing this discussion on the legacy media's coordinated effort to intimidate Bible-believing Christians and to push their agenda, I'm bringing on Sam McCarthy. He's a news writer for the Washington Stand, and he has covered the left's attempts to intimidate and silence Christians with this whole label of Christian nationalism. Sam, welcome back to the program.
Jody, thanks very much for having me on. Good to be here.
Well, you just heard my discussion with Brian. What was your reaction to Heidi Przybyla's MSNBC comments?
Well, I think it's insane that, as you noted, the sort of smearing of Christians, this representation of really Christian belief, and she tries to draw a distinction between Christian nationalists and Christians regarding this belief. But any Christian knows that Christ told Pilate before his crucifixion, the only authority given to you, you have because my Father gave it to you. All authority ultimately is derived from God. All of our rights are derived from God, from the fact that we are made in his image and likeness. And so the fact that she would say that only Christian nationalists believe that, that's drawing this further division and driving other Christians away from what's now seen as this extremist political ideology that somehow just sort of latched onto the Christian religion. So I think that it really is, like you noted, smearing Christians, smearing those who try to live out Christian values in their lives and in the voting booth.
Yeah, and you know, she's come out now with this lame attempt of what she calls an apology, which, as Brian Birch pointed out, is really not an apology whatsoever. But she claims that as a reporter, she wants to cover all political actors fairly. But I mean, even in that, she's claiming Christians are political actors. I mean, so there's even a problem in that. But she claims that she wants to cover all the actors fairly. But can't she even do that when she has such a gross misunderstanding of a biblical worldview and what Christians believe and what our founders believed?
Yeah, I mean, as a reporter myself, I can tell you it's difficult to report on something that you don't know or don't understand. I spend hours researching whatever it is that I'm writing about. I spend a long time preparing to discuss whatever it is that I'm going to discuss and making sure that I've got it correct and right. I'm not going to talk about something that I don't understand properly. So I do think that this sort of half apology, I think Brian put it well, that you guys said that she's kind of saying, you misunderstood me. It's your fault for not understanding what I said. That's really kind of how she's presenting it. And she's not just not apologizing, she's kind of reiterating her point and just sort of expounding on it, kind of, I don't want to say clarifying, because she's not necessarily clarifying, but she really is kind of doubling down on the point that she tried to make. And she clearly has no understanding of not just a biblical worldview, she clearly has no understanding of Christianity. And it's going to be hard for somebody who not only has no understanding of Christianity, but is openly and actively opposed to Christianity to cover such a thing properly or fairly. You can't cover such a thing fairly. You have what's called, I think Foucault called it a terminal screen. It's something that's going to color the way that you perceive the world around you, the way that you perceive every belief system, every value system that there is. That colors and filters the way that she sees all these things. And so when she sees a belief system like Christianity that's opposed to her belief system, which is leftism, which, as Brian rightly noted, I think has really become its own theology. They have their own Office of the Inquisition. They have their own doctrine and dogmas. When she sees an ideology that is in conflict with her own, she cannot cover it fairly. She cannot cover it in a manner that suggests it's anything other than a conflict with her own ideology.
Well, that's right. And her own ideology in and of itself is man-made. I mean, the biblical worldview is based on biblical revelation, and biblical truth is not people just coming up with ideas out of the blue. It is based on biblical truth. And, you know, by her making such a comment, not only is she throwing Christians under the bus in a biblical worldview, but our whole founding, our country, people who may not even be Christians, but who in and of themselves believe that our Bill of Rights, our basic constitutional structure, is based upon the concept of inalienable rights, that our rights are bigger than government. And that is something we cherish as Christians. And her lack of understanding of natural law, even if she doesn't want to call it a biblical worldview, her lack of understanding of natural law in all of this, in and of itself, has led to this error, correct?
Absolutely. St. Thomas Aquinas, he was a Dominican. He was considered one of the great philosophers of Christian thought. He, Augustine of Hippo, they both discuss this idea of natural law and how it's sort of the precursor of a Christian understanding, that it's sort of this basic law that no matter what, whether you've heard of Christ or whether, you live in a jungle and you've never heard of, Christ or Western civilization or anything, you have this basic understanding called natural law. And the Christian morality is built upon that. Most of Christian morality is natural law. And she clearly has no understanding of that. Like you noted, Jefferson was basically accused of plagiarizing John Locke, who wrote all about natural law when Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. Our nation is steeped in this, and she has no understanding of it, no comprehension.
Absolutely. Sam McCarthy, thanks for the incredible work you do at Washington Stand, and thank you for coming on and talking with us this evening.